The new movie If sets out to answer the question, what if you could see everybody else's imaginary friends from when they were a kid? But I'm here to answer the question of, is this a good movie? And that premise I just said is easily the best part of this movie. We follow this character B, who's going through a lot of rough times at home because her parents' health is not very good. But she ends up seeing one of these imaginary friends and realizes, hey, wait, I'm one of the only people that can see everybody else's imaginary friends. And all of these imaginary friends or ifs used to be assigned to a kid, but when the kids grew up and forgot about the ifs, now they're kind of just unemployed. So Ryan Reynolds' character is trying to get them reassigned to new kids or reattached to their old adults now. But sadly, that brings me to the first negative, is that this movie really doesn't know what to do with this cool premise, especially in like the last hour. Because I'm not kidding, in the last hour, I swear I felt like I was watching 5 completely different movies because we're just constantly jumping around to so many random moments and constantly redefining what the idea of the ifs are and what their purpose is. And the movie's kind of constantly just under explaining things or not giving scenes enough time to either A, make sense, or B, just actually let you get emotionally attached to what's happening with the characters in the moment. Now, I do want to give a lot of credit to the design and the animation of the imaginary friends. Them blending in with the live action characters actually looks surprisingly really good in this movie. They also got an incredible amount of celebrities to just do these voices, so even if they only have like a few sentences in the movie, there's a lot of just fun cameos to kind of catch. One of the things that's really mixed for me is that this movie is trying so incredibly hard to be super heartwarming. Like, it is constantly throwing scenes and lines at you that are supposed to be super endearing and emotional. But the thing is, when there's so many moments in a movie that are trying to make you feel a certain way and be like, oh, this is a super heartwarming movie, I promise, it ends up just kind of feeling shallow and like they're trying to tell you how to feel without actually building up to pay it off. Like, my biggest problem with this is one particular scene between the main character B and her dad. It's supposed to be this super emotional moment in the movie, but before we get to that scene, the movie practically forgets that her dad even exists. Like, we don't even visit him for like 50 minutes in the film, so by the time we finally get back to him, it's just a super lackluster moment, and the film thinks it's a super heavy moment. I actually really appreciate Ryan Reynolds as this kind of older adult trying to get all these imaginary friends back connected with new kids. Because while yes, he is definitely still kind of playing himself a little bit in this movie like he does in all his roles lately, I feel like he's a lot more toned down and kind of feels refreshing to see him in this kind of role. And while I wasn't really sure how to feel about his connection with the main character B throughout the entire movie, by the end it definitely became one of the strong points of the entire film. Steve Carell plays kind of the main imaginary friend. His name is Blue, and yes, he's this purple creature behind me. Yeah, again, it's kind of just Steve Carell talking as the voice acting performance in this, but I'm not gonna lie, he had some pretty funny and cute moments in this film. Like I alluded to earlier, I feel like the runtime for this film is kind of a problem. I'm not saying it's long, because an hour and 40 minutes is a pretty short movie, but I feel like this movie either needed to be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, because it's trying to do so many different things in the last hour and connect to so many different characters that each of those scenes really either needed a couple extra minutes longer or we needed to just cut some of them entirely. So even though overall this movie's kind of a mess, it's still pretty enjoyable and definitely has enough moments in there to keep you entertained the entire runtime. I would recommend it. It's about a 5.5 to 6 out of 10 for me.